Time for another episode of Pottawattamie County Roots. I am Todd Studer, and Pottawattamie County Roots presented by Hoy Kilnowski Funeral Home. We have a special guest in studio today. This is Jean Bohnker. She's back with us with Assisted Living Locators. Jean, we wanted to have you come back because you've got an event coming up very soon.
We do. Next week on Thursday, which is August 13th, we have our Questions and Queso, and we love getting these presentations out. We do it 4 times a year, and this will be the session on brain health. And come at 5:30 at St. John's Church here at 633 Willow Avenue. And we'll let you in the door. We're going to give you some queso. We're going to give you some companionship and a lot of socialization, meeting other people in the community. And then at 6 o'clock, we start our educational presentation on how to keep our brains healthy. And one of the big ways we can keep our brains healthy is by getting activity and being active. And there's no better person to do this than Lois from the Healthy Living Center. She's going to be there with the demonstration. She'll probably get us up and moving and doing all the wonderful things that she does to keep our brains healthy. And then we'll also do some educational brain monopoly, brain bingo, and we'll learn about how to keep our brains healthy by playing a fun game. So it brings up a lot of discussions and questions, and I'm going to be presenting on what are the memory care options that we have here in Council Bluffs. We have some great opportunities for people to be placed to have great care that have dementia, Alzheimer's, and some memory care issues that may need to be addressed and can no longer be at home. So I'll be presenting on that, and that is an educational series we call Questions and Queso.
Is that, am I incorrect in thinking that we just don't look at this information enough? And because here's the thing, this affects so many people. And, you know, with memory issues, whether it's full Alzheimer's or just some dementia or what have you. But it's one of those things we just kind of ignore until it's right in front of us, right?
I have a lot of families that I feel for them. You know, you just want to keep saying, yeah, it's okay. Mom's forgetting things, but it's, you know, she's getting older. And we all do that. I mean, that's just the progression of life, forgetfulness, but it sometimes is more than that. You know, and so I talk with a lot of loved ones that may live out of state, and they may say, when is the right time to move mom and dad into having more care? And I always say, where is their safety? You know, is it safe that they're home alone? Are they leaving the stove on? Are they forgetting to blow out candles? Are they forgetting where their keys are? A lot of times driving becomes a big issue. If you see their car with dents on the side and you're like, what happened? Oh, it's nothing. You know, I was just pulling into the garage. Yeah. That's really a big sign of look out. There's probably problems ahead.
I think, too, that these are the types of things that when it's just us, we tend to brush it off and ignore it. And it takes somebody looking from the outside at the big picture, at everything that's going on, because that's where you're going to find the information you need.
Right. You know, this must be maybe the first beginning signs. And you and I are the sons and the daughters, possibly. Maybe it's our aunt and uncle, our loved one. But we don't want to have to be that bad guy. We don't want to be the one that says, I'm going to take dad's keys away. You know, it's really, really tough. And when you can help them see that maybe it's not safe. You know, we talked to my dad about getting a golf cart and driving around town in the golf cart. I mean, at least he would have been safe and he could still go for coffee. You know, it's really hard taking that independence away from them. But you also, what would happen if you hurt somebody? So the things that I try to talk to the families about is, you know, is it the driving? You know, maybe that's the first step. You know, how can you get them more help in the home to stay safe? A lot of times when you see the elderly start to slip is they're not paying their bills. And that can be really, really tough. I had a gentleman who decided he just wasn't going to pay his long-term care insurance anymore. He was tired of paying it. It's something you paid for 30 years. And now when you're going to need that long-term care and you didn't pay it, I mean, that can get really serious. So checking up on seeing if they're paying their bills. Maybe that's something you need to say, hey, I'm going to set you up on automatic bill pay. Make their life easier for them so it's not so hard to stay at home. Seeing the bills not getting paid, seeing dings and dangs on the car. The driving becomes a big issue. They may start getting lost out in the community, can't get home. They don't know where they're at. These are all warning signs that we really need to take them to heart and start making some long-term plans.
On Pottawattamie County Roots, we explore the places that make our region home and the people who keep them connected. That is why we are proud to feature Marnie Elkhorn Communications, your local communications provider serving Marnie, Elkhorn, Walnut, Avoca, and other southwest Iowa towns with high-speed fiber internet, reliable phone service, and TV options built for rural living. With real local support and unlimited data plans, you get speeds up to 1 gig to work, stream, and stay in touch with family and neighbors. Visit metc.net to learn more and get connected today. Are you looking to grow your business or bring new jobs and investments to Southwest Iowa? Advance Southwest Iowa Corporation is the economic development organization for all of Pottawattamie County. Advance connects entrepreneurs, innovators, and established companies with resources, incentives, and strategic support to launch, expand, and thrive right here in our region. From site development to small business programs and community partnerships, Advance Southwest Iowa helps build a stronger local economy. Visit advancesouthwestiowa.com to learn more and get involved.
Let me ask you a question. You and I don't really prep for these, so you don't know this question's coming. I think I said that last time. My stepfather, before he passed, I don't remember what form of dementia that he had, but it was like frontal lobe dementia. And we were trying to convince him that going to an assisted living place, especially for the winter, was in everyone's best interest because of how difficult it was for him to get around. And he relied on other people just for balance so much. And he was a big, heavy man.
Yes.
And I thought all I have to do is present this in a logical way that cannot be refuted, and he'll go.
Sure. Good luck.
Guess what?
How'd that work for you?
He didn't go.
No, they're very stubborn.
And it even got a little contested where he was starting to say some things. Now, again, I know where this was coming from, but still having that conversation, I think, is really difficult.
It's hard.
And it wasn't, hard. I didn't know as a completely untrained person how to present it in a way that he could understand. It wasn't about, like I said, I mistakenly thought that all I have to do is just make it so he cannot refute it. Well, of course he can say anything he wants to.
I know.
That's what happened. So I'm just curious, in a case like that, is there a better approach to it? Is it just, let's get someone from the outside to have this conversation that's not attached to it, so maybe they'll be able to see it a little bit better? I don't know.
And that's what I love doing, is I love helping families through that transition because it's so tough. I've been there, and then I see the opposite where they've waited too long and then there isn't choices to make. I deal with a lot of very stubborn farmers. Sorry, farmers, but you guys are very, I'm going to, stay in this house forever. They take me out in a pine box. We don't want to leave our homes. That's our home. We've worked hard to provide and stay in our home and make it our home. But sometimes they just aren't safe. The washers and dryers are in the basement. You have to go up a lot of steps. It becomes harder to navigate. And the flip side of that is, if you fall and you break a hip, that's usually the end of the ends. It's crazy how, breaking those hips really decreases your activity and then your whole mental health goes out. It's just a bad scenario. So presenting it to him in that way of, let's look at what options are out there, and that's the part of the education that I love to do, because it's not the nursing homes that we used to think about in the old days, where our relatives were placed. There's so much more to that. It's a senior living community where you can live your best second chapter of life, where he doesn't have to snow blow or get out and shovel the snow. He could go on a winter holiday. And that's what we always like to do, is dangle the calendar or the carrot to say, you know what, get through the winter, get some physical therapy, get healthy, and go back home. You never want to take that away from them. There's always that possibility. But falling is always the big key. We want to really keep them safe. The other thing is having the doctor be the bad guy instead of you. I've helped the families use the doctor saying, you know what, you're just not safe to be in your home any longer. You need to look at some other options. And then sometimes they start believing the doctor and saying, okay, let's go take a look. And I always like to say, see what's out there. What are options that you have before you have to make that sudden decision? You're in the hospital and you break a leg, you have a bad fall. Something bad has to happen before you make that decision. And then it's, oh, we have to hurry up. You can't go home. The doctor says you can't go home. What are we going to do? So that's why it's so important to kind of plan for the future and try to figure out what's out there and how you can do this before it becomes a crisis.
Well, and when you talk about needing to be that voice of reason at times, it can be not just a person that's going to need to move, but also the people that are making the decisions behind that, because they don't want to make the wrong decision.
No.
It's tough to know specifically, where is my loved one at right now? And am I seeing this through the correct lens? And that's because that's where I was at.
Right.
I didn't know.
You don't know what you need to know until you need to know it.
Right. Is the frustration that I'm feeling right now based off of past experiences, or is it based off of what's truly happening right now? And that's where someone in your position can come in, see things objectively, and be able to say, okay, here's the reality of what's going on.
Yep. And I'm working with a daughter today who we're going to do some research. We're going to go do some tours and we're going to see what's out there. And then it really helps her be positive to go back to her mom and say, oh my goodness, I found 2 perfect places. Come take a look and see what you think. So it can be a fun thing. It can be a journey that you go on together if it's presented the right way, maybe educating you. Would it help to present to your stepdad a whole different way? You just don't know what's going to be the right avenue. And some people that have put their feet down and said, nope, I'm not moving. All of a sudden, I don't know what happens, but they see that, oh, this might be okay. And I have a lot of farm people that are moving into town and they're living into independent living and absolutely thriving. They got very lonely being out in the country by themselves. And, the churches aren't always open. The community centers aren't always there. A lot has happened to our small town communities that we don't have the setup to maybe have the meals, to have the community fellowship. And so instead of maybe looking at my dad's really depressed or he has dementia, it's isolation. It's lack of being with other people. And so that really plays a bad circle on our mental health. They stop eating, they stop taking their medications. And basically you see failure of thrive like we see with our babies. And they're just kind of whittling away in front of us because they need people, they need interaction, and they need to be eating healthy and they need to have their medications taken.
That interaction that you're talking about sometimes is just, okay, I'm meeting my friend down for coffee or whatever. And that in itself puts a little motivation. And gets a person moving.
I'm going to get out of bed this morning because I get to go have coffee with the guys and solve all the world problems. Those are great and important things.
I need to meet those people that are solving the world problems.
They do. I can tell you where they meet. It's McDonald's.
They're all McDonald's. Yeah, it's strange. I see. It's usually a group of retired men.
Yes.
This is what I see. And this goes back a long way because my grandfather used to do this when he lived in Prairie du Chien, Wisconsin. He would walk up to the gas station that sold donuts and had a little sitting area. And there was a group of them every morning would get together and have a donut and a cup of coffee. It was every morning.
Important things.
Yeah.
It is. And there's groups of them here too. You'll see them all in their trucks or sometimes they have fancy Corvettes. It's just fun. It's like those are healthy things. But how can we keep those things going in our small communities? It's really a concern. So the things to look for are the bills getting paid on time? Start talking and having those hard conversations because the more you plan ahead, it's so important to have who is in your will, who's going to make your medical power of decisions, medical power of attorney, who's your POA, who's going to pay your bills. Start taking over some of those things. I have a situation where this lady has no one but a grandson, and she has fallen. She was driving, she was hitting things. She had to have help getting out of the car. She was in the hospital. And I asked the grandson, do you know what her plan is? Who she can have to help her? None of those plans have been made. And when they go into the hospital needs to know who's going to make decisions for you. So have your will done, have that updated, know who's going to take care of your medical decisions, who can be on your bank account to pay your bills if you're in the hospital and you can't pay your bills. It's really, really important to get those things decided ahead of time before something bad happens. So making those tough conversations, making them happen so you start making a plan so you know what their wishes are.
Across rural Pottawattamie County, strong communities grow from strong local relationships. Avela Bank is here for the families, farms, and small businesses that keep Southwest Iowa moving. From personal and business banking to agricultural loans for land, equipment, livestock, and operating needs, Avela offers solutions backed by local service. Connect with the Avela Bank team in Council Bluffs or visit avela.bank. Avela Bank, local people serving local needs. Member FDIC. Are you in the market for stylish, locally curated fashion that's close to home? Visit Unique Boutique Iowa in Neola at 101 4th Street, your destination for trendy clothing, accessories, and distinctive gifts. Open on the weekends, Saturdays 10 to 2, Sundays 11 to 3. You can always shop online at shopubiowa.com.
Well, we still have a couple of minutes here, Gene. Do you prefer to have those conversations with people well before a decision needs to be made?
For sure. For sure. I have a couple that is moving back from the villas in Florida. I'm like, you're moving back to Iowa? Why would you want to move back to Iowa? Did you forget what the winters are like here? And they're like, we have family. We've lived the life and we've retired several times. We've traveled and now we need to come back to be closer to family. And so they are making that decision. And of course, things don't happen fast, but we've toured and we've come on to where they want to move and make that move back here to Council Bluffs. And they know where they want to live. So they're on a waiting list to wait for that 2-bedroom apartment. But you have to plan ahead. If you want to move into independent living here in Council Bluffs, Omaha, you have to get on a waiting list because it's a very popular item. And we don't have enough independent livings to take care of all the needs. So yes, start planning ahead.
Yeah, start have the conversation before you need to have.
You betcha.
By the way, I talked to someone a while back who was in the process of moving from Florida back to Iowa, and I asked the same question: why in the world would you do that? And I started talking about the weather, and he stopped me and he said, I lived through 4 hurricanes last year. I don't want to hear a word about the weather.
That's true. That's true. Maybe a snowstorm's not so bad.
So I get it. Yeah, every place has its thing. So going through a winter to not have to deal with hurricane weather, I see that trade-off.
But they also say there's nothing like Midwest people. So we have to pat ourselves on the back and say, yeah, you know what? It's not so bad here.
I've been talking with people, you may have seen the shows that just finished Ragbri, and hearing about all of the people that they interacted with, from the host families in each town to folks that are raising money and serving dinners and getting a chance to talk to people all the way across the state. Yes, exactly.
The neatest thing ever.
That's what being in Iowa is all about. And, you hear the Iowa nice cliche, but it's a cliche for a reason. It's true.
It is very true. It is a great place.
With a few outlying exceptions, but we'll just let that go. All right. So Questions and Queso is coming up. All right. I'm seeing guacamole in a picture.
Oh, there's lots of guacamole.
There's guacamole too. Okay.
Guacamole, holy moly.
I will singing praises about anybody that wants to put guacamole out on the table. So again, all the details about Questions and Queso this month.
Yes, it's going to be Brain Health, October 13th, and it's going to be from
August 13th.
Oh, yep,
No,
August 13th from 5:30 to 7. It's going to be at St. John's Church. Come join us. It's a free activity, and it's all about promoting brain health and an educational series.
And
Love to have you there.
get to learn a little bit more about everything that's going on. And Assisted Living Locators is part of this. Alzheimer's Association is a part of this. Looks like you are looking for an RSVP. So we want to get that address out there.
To Libby.
Libby Hires?
Yep, LLHIERS at ALZ.org.
Okay, we'll put that address in the description as well so you can send in. They need to know how much guacamole to make.
Oh, and queso.
And queso. So, and it's going to be a great event. And again, it's going on from 5:30 to 7 on August 13th. Well, Jean, thanks so much for coming in. It's always great talking to you.
It's great. Thank you for getting us out there and letting people know about these activities.
And we also thank you for watching this episode of Pottawattamie County Roots presented by Hoy Kilnoski Funeral Home. You know, if you click like, you click share, you click follow, you click subscribe, you do one or all four of those things, what can happen is the algorithm believes more people want to see it because they do. All this great information that Jean was just talking about gets pushed out even further. And it's a free thing that you can do to help grow the awareness of what's happening right here in our corner of the world. And it's completely free for you to do. So thank you so much in advance for doing that. My name is Todd Studer, and we'll see you next time.